Let's look at coefficient of variance. So this coefficient of variation is ratio number, a ratio between the standard deviation and mean. And this was developed by Carl Pearson, and this help us to compare two set of data to see how the variation affect them on a ratio scale, so that the comparison became so easier. So let's see a live example so that it is easy to understand. So let's take these two data. So you see this is 100, 105 and 95. This is 10, 5 and 15. So these two data has the same standard deviation, but the main is difference. When you see the coefficient of variance, you can understand this data is varying at 4% and this data is varying at 41%. So standard deviation is a dispersion on this number, but the standard deviation does not let us to compare this data and this data. That's why we need a coefficient of variance. And let's see a good example here so that it's easy to understand. So this is the petrol price in US dollar and this is the petrol price in Mexican peso. So this is the variation of petrol price in some period of time. Maybe each month is the average rate. And same in Mexico, that's a change in price accordingly. So now if you see the standard deviation, these two numbers are completely different. And if you see a variance average, these two numbers are completely different. But when you see the coefficient of variance, you can say that the petrol price in US vary in unison with Mexico. So that's where the coefficient of variance bring a great value. Let us look at how this coefficient of variance can be used to compare your investment. So let's say you four different investment opportunity and there's a period of 21 months and there's a rate of change. Maybe you could say that your investment was 100 rupees on the period 1 and 111 on the period 2. So this is a share. So you could see there's some volatility. Maybe due to COVID, there's a huge drop and then it recovered very quickly. So this is a share investment and this is another share. Maybe you could see that this is double of this. But while comparing, you will understand why I just make this example. Another is a bond that has a fixed rate of 5.5%. And then you have another uh, another investment. Maybe let me change the number, which has a very low return rate. This is also a share. So now when you have to compare all these four investment, so when you have to have the investment comparison, you have to always compare the CAGR. It's not the investment number itself. So if you have a share price, you have to convert it into rate of change. And from this rate of change, you will get the CAGR, which is nothing but the geometric mean and the standard deviation. So when you do these for investment one and investment two, you could see that the CAGR and standard deviation are same. Even though those are different numbers, maybe the share price is different, but the moment is same. So it gives you the same average return and the same standard deviation and the same standard deviation per mean. So it says you that you're getting an annual return of 5.82 with the variation of 5.67. It's a standard deviation by mean. And when you have the investment 3, you could see that your CAGR is 5.5 because it's a fixed rate and the standard deviation is 0 because there is no variation. You are going to get the same return always. And in that case, standard deviation by mean is 0. So you have 0 variation but the return of 5.5. And there is another investment where you have CAGR just 2, the standard deviation is 3, the standard deviation by mean is 1.4. You have a very minimal variation and a minimal return. So in this, what you would choose as an investment? I would abruptly choose this one, as the variation is much low and the CAGR is lower than this investment, but still you are safer and stable.